Life speaks. It speaks through struggles and success, through music and messages, the preconceived and the unexpected. Whether you are in the depths of the valley or in the midst of your mountaintop experience, everyone needs to be encouraged from time to time. You've tuned in to ALH Broadcasting, and this is Andrea L. Hines, your host for When Life Speaks. I'm glad you accepted the invitation to connect with us as we share stories of strength, testimonies of triumph, observations, and information meant to touch the heart and uplift the soul. There's something in this broadcast just for you, and if it's a blessing to your life, it just may be for someone else as well. So tag, share, invite someone, then turn down the volume of life and get ready to receive, so that when life speaks, you speak life. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to When Life Speaks. I am your host, Andrea L. Hines, and I am so happy that you have chosen to take time out of your day and come with us on this journey that we've been on since about the end of 2025. And I am grateful that you're here. I really hope that you have had an absolutely amazing day today. I hope that your year has started off in a way that is exactly what you wanted it to be. And even if it hasn't, just know that great things are right around the corner. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just glad that you are here. Now, for those of you who have not been following When Life Speaks over these last few weeks, we wanted to get the year started off by introducing you to the hosts of some of the shows on ALH Broadcasting. And we had a chance. I think this is actually the last one that we will do starting off this year. And just, we always say everybody has a story, and it just depends on whether or not they want to tell it. And we have stories of strength and testimonies of triumph and many, many other things. And I think about the fact that we see so little of the hosts. We've got 45 minutes with them, 30 to 45 minutes with them. And they're usually talking to other people and interviewing other people and have different points of discussion that they share. But you don't really get to know much about them. So we started out by introducing you to our Monday lineup, the first Monday of every month. The program is under construction, and the host is Pastor Steve Sims. It always has great nuggets that he shares with everybody. And while he is building up the king, he is also addressing the ladies in the house so that they know and can better understand, this under construction and the leadership that Pastor Sims is pouring in to those who come onto the program. Now, on the second and fourth Mondays of the month, we have a beautiful young lady who's on the line with us now. Good evening to you, Victoria. Victoria Henderson is on, and she is living life victoriously. And she takes her life, and she is transparent about her life and how she's making it and what's happening and the way that you can live a victorious life. So she's on that program and that platform, and she's also on the Sunday night platform, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Now, on Wednesday we have Dr. Paula Obi, and Dr. Paula has a program called The Power of Transformation. The Power of Transformation. Just the title alone lets you know that there's some good information going on that night. So that's on Wednesdays. Of course, I'm here on Thursdays. And on Friday Angie O and the Whole and Beautiful Nation. It's on Friday evening, 7 p.m. is her time slot. And she's interviewed couples. She has interviewed people who have different how do I want to say it, different careers and different paths, all intended to help you see how to live a whole and beautiful life. So that's our lineup. Those are the people that we have had an opportunity to introduce you to over the last few weeks. And tonight we are going to introduce you to somebody else. I met this woman of God. I don't even remember the year, but we met at church and we worked on different projects together, and we had an opportunity to just do ministry. And I tell you, I had never seen anyone so talented. She was an artist, I thought, and she was interested in the community. I thought that was her passion. But there, like Victoria and Pastor Steve and Angie O and so many people. Oh, and I almost forgot. We have our newest program, Out of the Box with Lynn. That's Lynn Hines, and Lynn is on that Monday night lineup as well. She's on the third Monday of the month. But I did want to say that we look at where people are. This is not just our hosts, but this is period. We see where people are. We see them in their element, as we say. We see them doing certain things. But there is so much more to each of us than what you see in terms of what we do. So it was a good opportunity to say, you know what? This person is a host for this show, but gosh, they are passionate about this over here. Or they have this role other than the one of a host on Wednesday night. They are caregivers, they are teachers, they are in ministry. They have different roles that they play, different stories that are behind what they do. And I'm just glad that I've had the opportunity to introduce some of them to you during these past few weeks. So we're going to go ahead and continue. And like I said, I met this woman of God at church, and she was an artist. That's what I saw of her. She was an artist, and she worked with me. We partnered in the drama ministry, and while we were there, she would do the sets and the backgrounds. But there was such a calming influence that she had. But Ruth also had, like all of us, some struggles. And when she became transparent, when she became part of the programming in ALH broadcasting, when she began to tell her story, I looked around and thought, wow, wow. And yet she has the strength and the tenacity to do all of the things that she does. So tonight, you're going to get to see Ruth Griffin, another side of Ruth Griffin. So sit back and relax, and we'll begin our interview. And so that our listeners will have another opportunity to learn a little bit more about you. So how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Andrea?
I'm good as well. I'm good as well. And I want to go ahead and get started because let me tell you guys, there is a lot more to this lady than you see. And I want her to have an opportunity to talk a little bit tonight about things that you may not know about her, and just to get to know her a little bit better. And I want to start out, Ruth, by talking a little bit about Authors Up because that's the way that people know you best. But we all have if you all don't know, Authors Up is a program for authors by authors that comes on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. And it is co hosted by myself and Ruth Griffin and Victoria Henderson. So I want to ask you just real quick, tell us what you like most about Authors Up.
Oh, what I love most? I will have to say I am a reader. I have been a reader all my life, and the opportunities we get to speak to authors about their books, that to me, I love that best because we say it all the time. Hearing the book and the author's voice, hearing what inspired them to write it, all of that to me is the best part of authors Hub.
That's great. That's great. Now, all of us have very specific roles
Mhm.
that we play, but the audience may not be aware of what your role is with Authors Up. Can you share that with them?
Absolutely. So I do the back end stuff of Authors Up. So all of the promotions, the videos, uh, the graphics. I schedule the authors. I vet them, schedule them, make sure that they get all the information about the show, and then I co-host. So that's it in a nutshell. But it is a lot of work and a lot of work I'm happy to do.
Ah, that's good. That's good because we're happy to have you do it.
Sure.
But we're very glad. It is a
Mhm.
trio that mixes very well,
Yes.
and I don't think any of us really expected for it to take the turns and twists and
Yeah.
evolve the way that it has. But I'm real happy about that as well. And
Yes.
looking into 2026 from a programming standpoint, where do you see authors up headed? Do you see it going in a different direction, or do you think we're going to kind of, I won't say coast along, but we're kind of at a good place right now? Do we want to disturb the good place?
Honestly, I wouldn't use the word coast. I think that sometimes you get into a groove. And I think that that is the place that we are at. We have seen, we've gone from radio to television, we've gone from trying different things. And that is not to say that, we don't do productions like we used to. We don't do the writing challenges like we used to. We definitely add those new things into it, but we are comfortable. We are in a groove that says, yeah, we know what we're doing. And whether we have to drive straight, make a left, make a right, whatever we need to do, we're going to do it. So I feel like that's where we're at, programming wise. And I feel like we're in a good place of exploration that we can figure out, okay, do we want to do this? Do we want to promote this? Do we want to promote that? We're trying something new this year. I'm not going to share just yet because we're still in the planning stages, but that it's an opportunity, and it's just, to me, it's just part of the growth that we've seen since we started the show.
Hmm. That's true. Very true. I want to ask you. I want to switch over from the program now
Hmm.
because there's program information on Authors Up that you can find anywhere,
Yes.
including the website now, Authors Up Show. So you can
That's
find
right.
out more about it there. But I want to talk a little bit about, and this is something that has happened. Oh, please excuse me. This is something that has happened over time
Yes.
when we from the time that we set out to do this whole show and do
Hmm.
Authors Up, and we've talked to many authors and interviewing the host as well. There are some people that this is the dream.
Hmm.
This I've always wanted to be on the air. I could always see myself interviewing people. I always wanted to do this, and I know that is not you. Know you. This was not the dream job that you had in mind. But I do want to ask you what that was when you were a kid. If somebody asked you, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" What do you think your answer would have been?
My first answer would have been artist. So to me, I've narrowed that down. So I love graphic design, but back then I used to love to draw. I love to create. Um, I love to tell stories with pictures. As part of my bio, before I could use words, I used pictures to tell stories. So as I got older and you live longer, you figure out, well, maybe I'm not going to be an artist. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. I thought about going into psychology, thought about being a police officer, thought about doing law, a lot of stuff. But
I'm sorry. Back up just a little bit. Did you say police officer?
I did. I think it was brief, sometime in middle school, but I did. It was something that I considered. And as the older I get, the realize that was just part of who I am, my personality. Just the law, the black and white, the order part of it. And I thought for a moment, well, maybe I like to do that. And that was never meant to be. And if I had ever even attempted it, someone should have sat me down and said, no, honey, you need to do something else. So, but art was always it. And, and honestly, even in middle school, I was writing stories, and it never occurred to me until I was, three babies, postpartum, going, oh, I just wrote a book in my spare time. That writing a book was, even, that being an author was even an option. So, and honestly, you say, I never set out to do authors up. And the interesting part is I didn't know that was an option either until I did it. So I love it. I love, there's a part of me that it just feels natural, and I don't know how far or how long or whatnot into the future, but I'm loving the moment. I'm loving the moment right now. So,
how many books have you written so far, Ruth?
I have written 9 books. Yes, 9 books.
9 books. Whew.
Yeah.
The pace at which you write always just is phenomenal to me, and there you never back up. If somebody says, oh, we want you to write this novel, and you're going to have to write, you know 3,000 words a day, you go, oh, well, okay. I go, oh my God. There's no way I can do that. Is there anything about uh, the writing process,
Mhm.
what you are doing now in terms, because I do want you to talk a little bit about serialization and
Mhm.
Substack in a minute. But is there anything that frightens Ruth? Is there
Yes.
anything that would make you say, I don't know, I just don't think I can do this? Because I never see that in you.
And the funny part is there is no particular thing. It is a circumstance that frightens me because, um, and I will not blame it on this. I was diagnosed with autism last year and ADHD, and at this point in my life, I choose to say that I am neurodivergent. I just think differently.
Mhm.
So in my mind, give me a challenge that is worth my challenge. Like I have my youngest daughter is very athletic. You give her a challenge that
Amazing.
has to do with being athletic. She's all over it. To me, that's just like, I'll pass. But give me a challenge when it comes to being artistic, to being creative. And my mind is all over that. My mind says, oh, I can do that. And I will find a way to do it. Now, if I think that I can't do it, if I think that I will not accomplish it, that's the part that scares me. If I think that at some point I will fail and disappoint, that's the part that scares me most. So say to me that, oh, you need me to write 3,000 words in 24 hours, my mind will go, okay, we'll have to break that up into a few hour sessions, but yeah, we can do that. Sure. Come on. So, but tell me, at some point, if I'm looking at the deadline, going, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do it. That's the part that scares
Wow. Wow. Well, I know a lot of it scares me, so
me.
that's why I have you. Ruth Ruth is not only my publisher, but she is the calm in the midst of the storm. For me, God graces you with having some people in your life that know
Mhm,
exactly, when your buttons are being pushed and exactly how to calm you down. and
mhm.
and that's what Ruth is for me, and I'm sure she is for a lot of other people as well. But it kind of segues me into your publishing company.
Yes.
And what, if you can, kind of explain your process as a publisher, because I think, and I don't know whether you can know how to really put it into words, but what makes you stand out from other publishers? Because you do.
Well,
And
thank
there
you.
are people who work with you who know that you do and say that you do. What's the difference in Griffin Publishing than it is from other publishers that are out there?
Um, the difference is that your success is my success, which is not to say that other publishers aren't like that. But it is also that means I'm going through your book with a fine tooth comb because I look at it as my book. I look at it as my project. I look at it as a reflection of me. So, if I miss dotting an I, that's going to bother me. Again, going back to that, my brain is different. I want to make sure that everything is as humanly possibly perfect as possible. I
Mhm.
want to make sure that it is presented in such a way that people don't turn their nose down at it just because it's not published by a big publishing house. I want to make sure that you are being presented in the best possible way.
Mhm.
So again, that is not to say that other publishers aren't like that. It's just that I know what I do, the extent of the work that I do for every other book that's not mine.
Mhm.
And I know that what I churn out is professional, it is clean, it is beautiful.
It is.
Hmm.
It is. I can say that as a writer who's been with you for many years.
Yes.
It definitely is. But let me ask you this: if somebody has decided I want to write a book and I want to get this book published, I don't want it to be on my shelf, and they came to you, what would the process be if you can give it to us in a
Sure.
capsule?
Absolutely. We would talk about what they want to do. And that's the thing, because that's understanding, first of all, that you have options, that it isn't just, how do you see your publishing journey going? Because each author has options. They can self-publish, they can um, try to query a big publishing house, they can go with a hybrid publisher, or they can choose not to publish at all.
Hmm.
So, we discuss the options. I let them know, hey, I'm not the only one out there, and I'm not going to sell myself as, hey, I am your only option, because that's not the case. My vision, my mission with my publishing company was always, I want to make sure that regardless of whether you go with me or go with someone else, that you get the book, the best possible book that you deserve, to be honest. So there have been some authors that I've spoken to. I have viewed contracts. I have shared what advice I have from the last 20 years that I have been doing this. I have referred them to other publishing companies, and then there are those that I've signed on. So, from there, if they sign on with me, then it is about reviewing their manuscript, about editing, and not just, making sure everything is dotted and grammar, correct grammar wise, but making sure that the story flows.
Hmm.
Um, and then, we create the files and we publish. So
Hmm.
I make it sound easy. I make it sound quick. It is not. Um, it takes time to do this, but the process is down because I won't say that that's all there is to it, but when you've been doing it as long as I have, it just becomes second nature. And honestly, when you have someone who walks with you along the way, it does become. I try to make it easy for the author.
Well, not only do you try to make it easy for the author, but there's one thing that is very important to the author, especially a new author. I can speak for myself. Um, is finishing the sentence. Have you ever thought about?
Hmm.
And that's a lot of what you bring to working with, as
Hmm.
opposed to working for. Because I have worked with larger publishing houses, and they have no clue what I've written, and I realize that I'm just kind of being passed along the line
Hmm.
of things that people do and say. My first collection of poetry is called "When He Whispers," because that's how God speaks to me. He speaks to me very, very softly and very quietly. But I will get people from that publisher who will call me and say, this book fair is coming up or whatever, and we want to be there and promote your love story when he whispers. And I'm thinking, my what? You have no clue what the book's about or anything. So just adding that part just exemplifies the fact that you do take ownership and pride in your work
Hmm.
as much as you do in terms of looking at it as you working to make sure that I have the best product that's out there. And I think
Hmm.
that is admirable, and it makes your authors and your writers feel comfortable
Yeah.
that they are going to get the best product possible. How long have you been doing the publishing piece?
Um, I want to say about 12 years now.
About 12 years. Okay.
Yes,
You know,
yes, because I wrote my first book about 22 years ago, and I did go with another publisher, but then after that, and they did a fine job, no complaints. But again, my brain was thinking differently, and it was thinking, "Oh, I could do this." So I taught myself how to do it. I'm like, yeah, I could do this. So
yeah,
I get myself in trouble sometimes, but not that was not one of those cases.
and Ruth is, when we talk about fears and things, if it's not clear to me how it's going to finish, I don't want to start. I get afraid to start. Um,
Uh-huh.
Ruth is a, well, let's push that button and see what happens.
Yeah, that is very accurate. Yes, I am
I'm
that button pusher.
say, why does that screen look like that, Ruth? I don't know. Well, let's push this button over here and see what.
Yeah,
but but like she says, that's the way she's wired. That's the way that
yeah,
she works, and it works to the benefit of those who work along with her,
yeah,
because they discover things
yeah,
that they probably would never have discovered had they not been able to do that and do that in a safe place, in a
yeah.
safe space. You touched on something about your health a minute ago, and I
Yeah.
wanted to just ask you what made you become transparent, because I know you and your husband
Yeah.
co-authored a book that had to deal with um, your diagnosis.
Mhm.
What made you decide? Because we always say everybody has a story. It just depends on whether or not they want to tell it. What made you decide to share your story having to do with your diagnosis with bipolar and the other
Yeah.
issues that have come up.
Well, part of that was growing up in a religious household. It wasn't altogether bad, but there was a lot of, oh, Christians don't talk about that. If you were truly saved, you wouldn't have mental issues. And that is so inaccurate and so wrong. And I found that out the hard way, because it was a lot of years that I dealt with it by myself. And it got to the point where it was eating at me. It got to the point where I thought I could no longer handle it. You mentioned the book my husband and I wrote, When Love is Angry, and that in itself, that book was part his journey and my journey. So we spoke about our journey together into marriage and in through this diagnosis, the first diagnosis of bipolar 2. Um, and he grew up similarly in a household that said, hey, you don't, you aren't praying enough or whatnot. Um, and it was a journey for both of us to come to accept that and to come to accept that, what, sometimes you gotta work through it, and I have discovered that a lot of people stop with that diagnosis. They don't live beyond it. They don't live to see that, okay, you know what, there is life beyond it. And I have gifted more books than I have sold. But to hear people say, oh, I didn't know that you could accomplish so much even with that diagnosis.
Right.
And that is primarily why I share. The fact that I was 50 years old when I was diagnosed as autistic. You know, it explained so much about my brain. But the thing is, if I don't say it, people won't know. And I'm not looking for accommodations. I'm looking for you to understand that, okay, I'm different. I'm different from you. And we can work together with our differences, which means that I need you to look at other people and look, where are they different as well?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not all the same, we're not all typical, and we just need to work with each other. So when I say, I don't understand what you meant by that, can you please explain it because my mind is different? There's no misunderstanding there. We're just trying to understand each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How long had you been married before you got the diagnosis?
Um, let's see, we've been married probably 5 years.
5 years, and in that
Mhm.
time, you had not had any therapy
No,
or anything.
mm,
That's
no, I had
just the
issues.
way life was. You had the issues. That's just the way life was.
Yes, yes. So definitely the issues were there. But I had not had any therapy, no diagnosis. I had not sought any medical help. Um, and it was pretty bad back then, and it would get a little bit worse because that's how it does before it gets better. But we were just going off of again, how we were raised, because that does inform how you respond today.
How whatever happens in this house stays in this house. Hey,
That's it.
I
Yep.
remember it well.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Yep.
Um, Now I want to ask you, in all of the things that you've done and all of the things that you have been through, what do you think is the greatest lesson that you've learned?
Oh,
The greatest life lesson that you've learned?
the
And it may
great.
be it may come from a quote that you kind of live by. It may come from
Hmm.
scripture. But what is it?
The greatest life lesson.
Hmm.
I would honestly, and this is one I'm still learning, but I would say that it has come through all these diagnoses and everything. Is that it's okay not to be perfect.
Uh,
It's okay, and I have to keep reminding myself it's progress, not perfection. As long as I'm moving towards an end, um, it's okay if I make a mistake. It's okay if it doesn't look the way I think it should look. All I need to do is just keep trying, and the thing is,
I like that.
all of us, none of us are perfect. So it doesn't matter what they look like on Instagram, on TikTok. It doesn't matter what we perceive that person looks like at church or whatnot. They can be all well put together, but at some point, everybody goes home, everybody takes, whatever they've got on, and we all look the same. So,
That was inspiration for a little one of the pocketbooks that I did, and I actually did it for my granddaughter, and it was based on the fact that God doesn't require us to be
mm,
perfect. He just wants
no,
us to try.
yeah.
And after I wrote it and I read it to her, she said, "Ah, that sounds just like me." And I thought that is just like you. So I really, really understand that.
Yeah.
And some people live unto that to the point where they're not living at all.
Yeah.
They're going through life,
Hmm.
but they're not living at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the two other things that I want to talk to you about that people may not know anything about, and those
Okay.
who do love to hear about it anyway. But there are two areas where you've kind of stepped out in and done something differently. Um,
Yeah.
your art, first of all, I do want to say this, is absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you.
I had no idea that you had that kind of gift till we were working together in the drama department and you had to design a set. And the set was supposed to be a boutique.
Yes.
And I kept going up because I wanted to take the shoes off the shelf. That's how good this thing was, guys. And I thought, oh no, that's it. That's flat. That's paper. But it was absolutely gorgeous,
Thank you.
absolutely gorgeous. And you think sometimes when you see people that have certain gifts and talents that that's it, that is
Mhm.
it, and that's what they do. But you always say you're never afraid to try
Mhm.
anything. And right now you are into serialization
Mhm.
and Substack. And I want you to tell the folks just a little bit about those two things.
Oh, absolutely. Um, again, I wrote my first book in 2003, so 22 years ago, and I went for the traditional publication, the novel, the paperback, the ebook, all of that. A few years ago, I got into reading web novels, web comics. They are the predominant source of publication in the Asian markets. And again, my brain was like, "Oh, I can do that." So I actually spent a couple years research into it, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to give this a chance. And about a year and a half ago, I decided, just for practice, and I should probably say that I wrote 10 novels. I decided that I was going to write a fan fiction to practice with serialization. I ended up writing over 106,000 word story that was based on another novel that I had read. Practice, remember? So, and I posted it online weekly on a fan fiction site. And after that, it was like, oh, I love this. It's serious. Episodic storytelling. It is like watching your favorite show on network television, on cable television, streaming television, whatever. Um, and I thought, you know what, it fits so much better with how my brain is was created, that for me, every week to write out 1,500 words is nothing. So, and I've gotten, through that practice, I was able to get my process down pat. There was another author that I followed, and he does this, full time. And I was like, you know what, let me he was part of my resources when I was looking to do this. And I was like, he's got his process. He gave me, how he does it. And I was like, all right, let me figure out how I can do it. And, I remind myself now, okay, it only takes me 7 hours to write it out, edit it, listening to it. And I'm like, you know what? I love this. And I think that it is, um, I haven't explored all of it yet. Right now, I am posting the chapters. I took my first novel, Stepmother's Anonymous, which is a low fantasy kind of story that I wrote actually about 20 years ago. And I decided to serialize that one because I had written it and then had left a whole bunch of stuff out because I had been told that the book was too long already. So I'm like, you know what? Let me make it longer and tell it the way it's supposed to be told. And honestly, it's just, I have been enjoying it so much. I have been posting it on Substack, but also like several other sites that are geared more towards readers. And it is, right now I'm looking, I'm refining the process because what I've learned, one thing about myself is that I go through experiences so I can share them with others, so I can teach others. And right now, yeah, I'm shifting from traditional writing, and not really, because I'm going to be coming out with a book this year, at least one, possibly two. So, but I'm also serializing so that those who do want, who have stories that can be told episodically, hey, this might be a good option for you. Let me show you how I did it, and let's see if we can find a way that it'll work for you. So,
how do people get to you on? I can't believe it. The time is just ugh. But just real quick, how can people get to your work on Substack?
absolutely. Actually, if you just go to my website, ruthegriffin.com, all the information is listed there. You'll be able to see all my books that have been printed, as well as serial story. And I'm actually going to be starting another serial story this year, so stay tuned for that. But it'll be all on my website, ruthegriffin.com.
RuthEGriffin.com. Easy to remember, easy to be there. Ruth, I thank you so much for taking time. We had to pre-record because I wanted to make sure that I got all my hosts in this month. So I thank you so much for that.
You're
But
welcome.
we cannot leave this platform without talking about the most important thing in your life right
Of
now. And tell
course.
us what that is.
Of course, that would be my actually she's 9 months old as of yesterday.
Oh,
9 months old. So that's my first grandchild, granddaughter named Mercy. And she was just here and she brought the flu with her and shared it like it was candy. But, you know, having had kids, you don't expect anything less. And she is just a tiny little bundle of joy.
and she brings joy to all
Oh
of
my
us
goodness.
because we
Yes.
refuse to let Ruth leave town and go see her and not do a photo shoot every day. If we can get it out of her, we're going to try to get it every day. But she is just a delight, and thank you for sharing her
Of
with us.
course.
Thank
Of
you
course.
for sharing your gifts and your talents with us.
Mhm.
And I just look forward to seeing what this new year is going to yield.
Oh
So,
yes.
again, thank you. And I know that everybody was really happy tonight that I introduced them to the one and only Ruth
Absolutely.
E. Griffin. So, thank you so much, Ruth. And you
Thank
guys
you.
hang in. I'll be right back. Boy, I tell you, that was more fun than I thought it was going to be. I had an opportunity to learn some things about Ruth Griffin that I didn't know. So I know that it was an inspiration to you guys. And I think it was Francina who put up the question, what made you not stop? What made you not quit? And she said, you just got to keep trying. You just have to keep trying. And that's a good lesson, I think, for all of us. For all of us. I thank each of you for being here. I thank each of you for being a part of the ALHB family. You didn't know you were a part of it, but you are. We can't do this without you. It's no fun for me to come here on Thursday nights and be here all by myself. So I thank you all for making space and for taking time. I hope you've learned something about each of our hosts and their programs through this series. Let me introduce you. We have a couple of more people that we're going to talk to. They not so much from a standpoint of them being hosts, but just from a standpoint of life and their journey. Testimonies of triumph, stories of strength will always be our foundation and our baseline. And I am just so glad that you all have decided that you want to make it a part of your journey as well. So, again, thank you for being here. I'll be here next Thursday. I'm not sure exactly who we're going to have on the program next Thursday, but I'll be here. And I want you to be here as well. Put me on your calendar and make sure that you tune in. Get ready to turn down the volume of life. Get ready to receive so that when life speaks, you speak life. Good night, everybody.